Welcome back. Got myself some coffee. We're going to finish this up. Take it away, Rusty.
With God, because if you're going to do something right, regardless of what you are told, that means that there's something objective out there, a mind that's out there that's, uh, you know, God. And religion, you say.
1 second, Rusty. Um, Here's the thing. It would not have to be an objective mind God. Part of the thing that helps us make our decisions as to what is right and wrong is one actually sits there and says to himself, well, how will other people view me? And there's a lot of people out there who are going to be very individual with the attitude of, I don't care what people think of me. Well, that's not completely true. Because if you didn't care what people think of you, you wouldn't be afraid of their reactions, and you would be more of an anarchist moving away from society's wants of you. So you do follow that to a degree. Otherwise, if there was total I don't care, then you really wouldn't have to worry about things like people who would do like shoplifting or burglary or whatever. They wouldn't be so sneaky. See, they do care about the reactions of the majority around them. So part of our decision making when it comes to morality has to do with, is this the right decision for me? How is it going to work for me in my life? And how much backlash will I get on this decision by others? Because I have to live with other people in my social environment. Continuing.
Is doing what you're told, regardless of what is right. Again, that implies a perfection out there of what is right, and that we can measure that perfection against what is right. And in this instance, we apply a systematic thing called religion, being a wealth of information. And here is this wealth of information that you are told, and that it's not right.
No, I'm assuming you're making a reference to how I see the world. That isn't how I see the world. See, the thing is even though there are times I get really annoyed with a lot of things having to do with the Bible, I would be a fool to say that it does not have important lessons to teach. You see, even though I do not believe that there is a God, or at least a God of any of these kinds of religions, you see, I am a bit agnostic atheist, and you actually get into this end of it. I reject the notion that any religion that has ever come about has a clue as to what a god or gods would be like, or that they would presume to know what they would want of us. I don't think they would actually even care. I would see it as more of nothing more than an ant farm kind of thing, if we even came to the thing of that. But I can go into a little bit more detail on that. I do not believe that any religion that has ever come about is even close to be able to come up with anything that would that is relevant to what a god or god is, or god or gods are, rather. Um, but I still do not believe we would have been granted any kind of an afterlife of any kind. Anyway, it's getting a little bit off of there, so I'm going to continue on here.
Now, I grant that there are a bunch of religions out there that would, necessarily need to be false, need to be falsified, and even my religion is falsifiable. You talk about biblical errancies and that kind of stuff. Well, I think a lot of that's been dealt with. I think it would be more interesting to see an atheist find in the Bible deep theological things that conflict.
Absolutely. Glad you brought that up. Okay. We can do this a couple ways. I can actually list the passages between the Old and the New Testament, just the New Testament, or just the Old Testament. And we can talk then about things about thou shalt not kill, or, if you prefer, thou shalt not murder. And we can show where it would command one thing and then say, no, don't do it. And, I mean, I'm going to put the question to you, Rusty. Do you want me to actually show you passages where deep things, and I don't think there's going to be things that are going to be much deeper than one's own mortality when it comes to being at the hands of another human being. So yeah, I can absolutely do this. But again, I do believe that there are some things in the Bible, mostly with Psalms and Proverbs. A lot of the stories in there I don't find much relevance in whatsoever. But Psalms and Proverbs do, I think, have a wealth of knowledge. That they do some amazing things in there. But one doesn't have to believe that there is a God to be able to understand Psalms and Proverbs. Continuing.
But you want to get into a kind of an idea that, for instance, you go on to talk about the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments, particularly the commandment "Thou shalt not kill," and then you talk about the Mosaic, Leviticus kind of law system, where we're not running around stoning people who have picked up wood on the Sabbath. Well, if you read Galatians, I'm a Christian, and so let's put that New Testament first and foremost. I'm sure that you were once a Christian, so you understand what.
Actually, sir, I was. So yes, what you're saying here, yes.
When I talk about this, and if you read in Galatians, I think you understand where the ceremonial law in Leviticus is not a works salvation method, because we're saved by grace. But I don't know that you probably get into a lot of theological conversations.
I do and I don't. When it's presented, I won't shy away from it, but I'm not usually the one who, well, I do at times, but is the one who places that down. One of the things is that we also got to keep in mind is that if the Bible is saying that God is unchanging, and then it shows in the Bible that God is changing, it's going to be one of those things. Well, make up your mind. Is he or isn't he? See, then that actually starts going into is the Bible credible if it's having these contradiction types of things? And I don't find the only way to put it, and it sounds insulting, and to a degree it is, but how do you find something credible into something that with something that is a bit bipolar, that it makes a rule for one thing and then it breaks its own rule? So that would enter confusion into one's mind. Well, which one do you follow? And if it's always going to be the latter, then it's like, okay, then we're going to discount all these others.
But an unchanging God, would talk about "Thou shalt not murder," because notice you use the word "kill." It's really murder. And there's a difference between killing and murder, okay? You defend your family, and...
I'm going to back up on this a little bit. I'm going to move into another part. But like I said, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing. Follow along, find something else to do. Those that are interested, invited to stay along with us. See you all in a sec.